The following is a Joel Michalec production. On November 13th, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. That request came from his wife. She asked him to leave because he wouldn't listen to the Joel Michalec Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to an exciting new episode of the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharen.
Yes.
I'm Joel Michalec.
Hi. I thought you were looking because I was...
Is the lovely Sharen.
Hi.
I'm just trying to look at I'm trying to measure the
Hello.
sine wave.
Oh.
How does it look?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
Looks good to me.
Welcome to the show. It's nice to be back in the seat here.
Yes, it is. I've missed it.
Yeah.
You keep sending me out on missions.
You can reach us on the World Wide Web at www.jmtalk.net. Also on social media, let's see, TikTok and Facebook at JM Talk, Instagram and Twitter at JM Talk Radio. And also you can send us an email, joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. So later on this exact podcast, we'll be sitting down with Gene Berardelli. He is by day he is a lawyer, and also he is a lot of other things. He's a political columnist, and he is an author of an upcoming book. We're going to talk to him about that. It's going to be I know it's going to be a very exciting interview because it's done already. It's in the can. So that's coming up later on in the third segment of the show, so stay tuned for that.
I can't wait. That was an exciting interview.
It certainly was. Interestingly enough, because since we lost our producer, I've been trying to get guests on in that third segment, and so it's been a bit of a challenge having to refigure this all out.
I know.
And it's weird because I interviewed Gene earlier this week, and today I got something I've never gotten in the brand new Joel Michalec radio at gmail.com. A PR company sent me a press release to interview an author. So I didn't sign up for anything. This email has been laying dormant forever. The only thing I use the email for is for distribution to the networks that carry the program.
Right.
And and so I don't know. It might be the start of something. Maybe the universe is coming together to make sure I have company in the third half. In the third half.
In the third
half.
In the third half.
So anyway, let's get right to the elephant in the room: inflation.
Look,
and
you don't
high
have
prices.
to talk about my weight like that.
Inflation and high prices.
Oh,
my gosh! Is the topic du jour?
Well, whenever anybody says anything about, look, I'm off the charts over there.
You are off the charts.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm backing up.
You are off the charts.
I know, baby.
Right.
Whenever anybody brings anything up like that, the gas prices, oh my gosh, have you seen the prices of milk lately?
Oh, yeah,
blah, 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 right? I'm like, you know what? You can thank Biden. Yes.
No.
You can't tell me any different.
But I can a little bit. That's what we're going to discuss here.
Okay.
See, the interesting thing is you come into these shows with no idea what we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because you won't tell me. He's mom, I'm telling you.
Well, so I'll get to that point in a minute. But what I wanted to do is, because it's really easy. I get it. It's really easy to blame the administration. Why?
Because he's a moron.
Every time, and and this isn't political. We're talking about something that's going on in today's society that's breaking our back.
Yes.
But it just seems like every time the Democrats come into the administration, this is what happens. Now, it hasn't been on this scale in a long, long, long time.
Since the 70s.
Possibly, maybe the 80s. But
no, 70s.
So what I wanted to do was I took it upon myself this week to reach out and do a little research. I wanted to see what the gas companies have, because they have to report their net profit loss after each quarter. So I wanted to find out just exactly how things are going in the first quarter.
Right.
So let's start with Exxon.
Ooh.
Yes, exciting stuff. Exxon reported earnings of $5.48 billion. That's with a B. Billion between the start of January and the end of March this year.
Wow.
More than double the $2.73 billion that it earned in the same period last year.
Wow.
And this was after the company incurred a $3.4 billion after-tax charge, meaning a loss, when they decided to discontinue operations in Russia because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So after taking that hit,
they still brought
more than double last year. Chevron.
Wow.
Chevron reported earnings of $6.26 billion in the first quarter of 2022, compared to
and we're talking 3 months, people.
Right, $1.38 billion in the first 3 months of 2021. That's more than 4.5 times increase, and the company's most profitable quarter in almost a decade, when they made $7.2 billion in 2012. Now that may be a little hint in comparing when we were this bad with gas prices. I didn't go back that far. I'm just
okay. All right.
So, and then BP reported an underlying profit of $6.2 billion compared to $2.6 billion same period last year. So then you have to say to yourself, well, wait a minute.
Where are all these these profits going?
The barrel is going up. This is what we're being told. So the barrel is going up because of all these reasons, okay? And that's where I do hold the administration somewhat responsible right there, because
they're completely responsible.
We know that the government will never lie to you, but they will. And they'll tell you whatever they think you need to hear. And so I think there has been a lot of who shot John in what they tell us the reasons are.
And you want to know the reason? Because the sole reason our gas prices are the way they are. The sole reason. The second Biden took office, the very first thing he did was shut down the pipeline. So,
well, we talked about that before on the
podcast.
We
have.
And we have a disagreeable debate about that.
I'm sorry. So we will agree to disagree.
So there's an interesting thing to note here. They say that the current high gas prices are not due to production issues. So basically, the report said that in the 2010s, so for a good part of that decade, the oil companies overproduced because demand was down. So they overproduced for a whole decade, and they took a bath in producing all that and not selling it. So Exxon and Chevron, for example, they might argue that they're earning these new profits because they swooped in and saved the day. However, I'm not an economical genius, but this is what I wonder. So the barrel goes up and up. And of course, and as I was saying before you interrupted me,
I'm sorry.
One of the things that I disrespect about the administration is right out of their own mouths, they're calling this Putin's gas hike. They're calling it Putin's gas hike, which is a complete fabrication and wrong. If the barrel goes up for whatever reason, war in the Ukraine, or some monkey scratches his ass it doesn't matter. And I'm doing the laundry. If the barrel goes up, and if it costs you more to buy that barrel, so you have to charge more at the pump, make these profits make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
This year to last year, make these again. If the barrel's going up, if I'm Exxon and I got to buy a more expensive barrel to sell you, how am I making all this profit?
Right.
I can't make this make sense. So here's what the Fed is doing, the Federal Reserve. I know I'm swallowing this segment with this, but this is important information that people need to know.
Yeah, but do they want to know?
No, they have to. The Federal Reserve is they're boosting the interest rates. Okay. This week, central bank said it's increasing the benchmark short-term interest rate by 0.5%, marking the highest increase since 2000. Now, the Fed's goal in doing this, let's raise the interest rate because that will tamp down supply and demand. It will make people go, oh my God, the interest rates are up. I can't buy now. So it'll slow people down from buying stuff. I'm telling you.
Wow. Okay.
Because it will become more expensive to borrow money to buy a home, a car, or anything else. So it's going to be prompting some people to hold off on purchases to make a drop in demand that might help inflation, which, by the way, if you're not paying attention, has gone up to 8.5%.
Wow.
In March, really.
Yeah.
We don't have the latest numbers, which was the highest since 1981, which is why I said to you said 70s, I said possibly 80s.
Okay.
81. Inflation rate was up around 8.5.
Started in the 70s.
Okay.
When gas was so rare, you had lines a mile long at gas stations.
Okay, so is that not a comparative thing to what I just said? In the 2010s, they were sitting on all this oil.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, I'm just saying I was alive and a functioning human being in the 70s. And I say that because I wasn't 3, 4, 5 years old. I was a teenager, okay, in the 70s.
Wow, I was 3, 4, 5 years old.
I know you were. So, and I watched my dad and my mom sit in these long ass lines.
The gas lines?
Yeah. And, like all of it was insane. It was insane. And then you get up to the pump and they run out of gas. So that happened a lot.
Yeah, it was the gas rationing or something.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yep.
So wait a minute, that wouldn't be a overproducing thing.
That would be an underproducing.
That would be a shortage thing.
Yes.
So so anyway, that's just sort of a look into it. You know what I mean? Like a look into what's going on. Because again, I can sit here, I can and will and would find a lot of faults in the current administration. But something like I heard of something about BP, and I think I might have mentioned it to you earlier week, and then that made me go out and go, I want to know what everyone's making,
right? Yeah,
or at least the big guys.
Oh yeah,
and they're all profiting off of our backs. I mean, it went up. What was it? 10 cents overnight.
Overnight
today.
Oh my gosh,
10 more cents. And and so it's like $4.39 here.
Yeah, in
Pennsylvania, it's up to almost $5. So count your lucky.
Yeah,
stars.
Absolutely,
your lucky
I
empty
am.
Gas tank. I mean, I just don't.
Speaking of, it is almost empty.
So the problem is people are. This is the time of year where people want to go away and do things, and we even have a place down a beach, and
we haven't been down there to open it yet.
We haven't been down there to open it, and I with these prices, I'm afraid to even guess when we will get down there the first time. We certainly won't get down there as much until something turns the tide.
I know, right?
So I'm not a financial analyst. I don't work for the government. I don't know what they would do at this point to turn this around. But holy shit.
Right. Exactly.
And like you said, it's not just that. Groceries, I mean, we're, like you and I in a 1 week span, and we go to like Aldi's, which is like a generic. Yeah. Walmart, which is like sub-generic. I mean, we don't go to Acme and stuff unless we have to, but we plan out our meal, and we went from about...
For the whole week.
Yeah. We went in a matter of 2 months from spending about $100 a week, meal planning and getting all just the ingredients, to, I can tell you the last time I went shopping, which we didn't get to do last week because of this, week before, knocking on the $200 door. You're going to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And,
what are you going to do?
What can you do?
Right. Exactly.
That's the thing. What can you do?
Starve?
You can go to the dollar store a lot more.
Right.
So, anyway, that's today's America.
Yeah, but that's a shame, considering 2 years ago, we were sitting a lot prettier than we are now.
Yeah, I mean, gas before he came into office was somewhere around 187, I think.
Yeah.
And
come on.
It started going up soon after he took office. Not immediately.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was
the
like,
very
it was
first
like trickling, and you're like, oh, here we go with the Democrats in power again. So that's like what my mindset was. And then it seemed like when this Ukraine thing took off, like I said, I can't sit here and tell you it's directly related to Ukraine. I can tell you there's a problem when the people who you're supposed to look to for answers get on television and say, oh, it's Putin's gas hike. Putin this, Putin that. Putin's making you poor and Putin. I mean, fuck that.
Right? Take some responsibility for your own mistakes.
Right, and fix it. After you take responsibility, fix it.
Yes.
So, I tell you, I can't find one person in any of my circles of conversation that don't agree with the fact that the entire, not for nothing, but Trump used to call it drain the swamp. I don't know anyone right now today that does not agree that the entire top to bottom just need to be pushed out the door, and we need fresh blood with people who represent us.
Yeah.
These people have no idea.
We have
how we
career politicians in office right now, and the president's one of them.
I mean, Pelosi had dinner with Lincoln the night before he was shot.
I know.
Let's get these people out. Anyway.
That was pretty funny.
Doesn't leave much. I try to be funny.
I know you do.
Doesn't leave much time to really get into another subject.
It's hard to be funny with this topic.
I know, we're trying to be lighthearted a little bit, but we're crying over it.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Washington does not have their finger on the pulse of this society.
No.
At all.
No. And they don't care to. I don't believe that they care to know what we want.
Right.
They don't care.
Yeah, I got like 2 minutes. I had this great... There's just not enough time. If we don't get to it in the next segment of this program, which is going to be a shortened segment because of the length of Gene's interview, I actually had built enough information to do a foodie podcast. It was all going to be about food. I got the history of mac and cheese, and you're not going to believe it.
Really?
You're not going to believe it.
Why? It came from China?
No. Came from China.
That's what I said.
China.
That's what I said.
I was imitating.
Oh, okay.
Why do you call it the China virus? Because it came from China. Okay, so I guess I'll swallow up the last minute by saying that people should check out your lives every... I haven't gotten a live scheduled for but anyway, check out your lives.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Are you exclusively on TikTok? You stopped the Facebook thing?
Kind of, I guess. And I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. I should get back on Facebook. But yes, I am live on TikTok. You can find me.
Wait a minute. Let me make this easy for you.
At Full Moon Fizz or Fizzy Chick.
Fizzy Chick. I know your website is controlled by... it's a subscription website from the master company. Is your TikTok linked on there?
Yeah.
Okay. So fullmoonfizz.com.
Yeah.
No, fullmoonfizz.bombparty.
Yes.
.com.
Yes. Yep.
So they should go there and check out the great jewelry that you are revealing.
Get ready to reveal new stuff.
Secret reveal.
Every month we come out with the next month's birthday. So what that means is whatever birthstone is the next month, like for us now it's June, whatever June's birthstone is, that's what the jewelry has.
Right.
So it's jewelry with all that birthstone in it. So, and it's only $19.95.
Wow,
for $20.
What a
Mother's Day's coming up.
Mother's Day is
Father's
here, by the way.
Day's
Happy
coming
Mother's
up.
Day.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, Mother's Day. Father's Day's coming up. We have men's rings that are fantabulous, aren't they?
Yep.
You got one yourself.
Yep. So, fullmoonfizz.bombparty.com and TikTok Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights.
And Tuesday night.
There you go. Check back on our website for full schedule and details. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we have more to go. And don't forget Gene Berardelli coming up in the third segment, man. That is a great interview. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
This is New York's Super Oldie Station, 920 WON, The Apple, Brooklyn, New York.
The following conversation is real. It took place on Tuesday, June 8th of 2004 between a Blonde Star advisor and a subscriber.
Blonde Star, emergency. This is Steve. Is there an emergency in your vehicle?
Oh my god. I've locked myself in my car and the keys are on the outside.
Ma'am,
oh my god.
Ma'am, I need you to calm down.
Okay, it's just that the windows are rolled up and I'm starting to sweat. My keys are on the outside.
Now, your keys are on the outside of the vehicle?
Yes, oh my god.
Now, does your car have automatic locks or...
Yes.
Okay, here's what I need you to do. Take hold of the inside of your door handle there. Are you doing this? The shiny thing. Grab the shiny thing.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay, now give that a tug.
Okay.
Did it open?
Yes, oh my god, thank you.
Okay, now what is that noise?
Oh, that's my door alarm.
Yeah, but that only happens if the keys are in the ignition, hon.
Oh my god. You know what?
Your keys are actually in your ignition.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, thank you so much, Blonde Star.
That's why we're here. Do you need anything else?
Blonde Star.
No, that's
Always
it.
on, because you're always blonde.
Welcome back to the show, folks. The lovely Sharen will not be joining me in this second portion, but that is okay. She's got things to do. Meanwhile, stay tuned, because coming up shortly in the third segment, Gene Berardelli will be joining me to talk about his new book. And it is a great interview. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. And I'm looking really forward to the book. So stay tuned for that coming up here shortly. But anyway, while it's you and me, I feel like it's sort of like I did the second part of the show myself, because I went out and found somebody to do the third part with me. I still wind up doing a third of the show alone. But anyway, be that as it may. And that's fine. So welcome back to the program. So last week or so, I forget exactly, I think it was like, let's see, last week, I forget exactly what. But anyway, did you guys see the comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked by somebody in the audience, just like ran up on stage out of nowhere with the quickness and like speared him. Like, this is a wrestling move. It's like a spear, you know, where you charge, you bring your head down, and your entire mass torpedoes the mid-body. So yeah, crazy. Happened at the Hollywood Bowl. He was on stage doing his comedy routine, and this guy just comes out of nowhere, and boom. This is what happened. He had finished his act. He was getting ready to exit the stage, and a male from the audience jumped on the stage and tackled. Okay, they say tackled. I'm telling you, it was a spear. It's a wrestling move. And his name was Isaiah Lee. So anyway, 23 years old. He was arrested. He was taken to the hospital for medical treatment. And they described the weapon. Police described the weapon they say was taken from the suspect as a replica handgun. So he had a replica handgun with a knife blade. It's unclear what the motive was. But here's the thing. And by the way, he pleaded not guilty to 4 misdemeanor charges. So you ran out of the audience, you attacked the performer, and pled not guilty. But anyway, so here's my take on it, right? Because of course there's a take on it. You know, I'm going to roll back here a little bit and rehash the Will Smith Chris Rock incident at the awards ceremony. when Will Smith just walked up out of the audience and slapped Chris Rock. And I said this before, although I don't recall if Sharen and I discussed it on the show, or if it was with maybe a different circle of friends, but I said that sets a very dangerous precedent. Now, I think what I was referring to at the time was it sets a dangerous precedent that comedians are no longer going to be allowed to do what they've been doing for, probably since people stood up out of a chair and started discussing funny things, making fun of other people. Most of the comedy that I grew up with is based on other people's misfortune or the comedian's misfortune. There are comedians that use their own misfortune and they turn it into comedy and they make people laugh with it. That's just the way it is. But now suddenly there's a different precedent here that is, that has been set. Okay, because a lot of people were pro Will Smith. He was wrong for what he did. There's other ways to handle that. But there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, Will Smith, he deserved to do that. He was in his right to do that. No, because now there's been a precedent set where anybody can just walk up out of the audience and attack someone performing on stage. Dude, that's a felony. Okay? That can be a felony. You go to jail for that. Hitting somebody out of the blue, you can go to jail for, you can be held liable for. And so this precedent was set in that regards as well, because that's exactly where my mind went. My mind went bloop, stop, right turn, and went right to that. Right to that. And I said, this guy, if no one else sees this as okay, because I don't know what Dave Chappelle said that upset this guy. I really don't. Again, I find Dave Chappelle's comedy to be very funny, and I know that his comedy is drawn on the backs of other people. I get it. I know. But I'm also not a snowflake, so I'm okay with that. To an extent. To the extent that I'm in my 50s and I've been fine listening to comedians forever. I mean, really? If comedy bothers you, thank God you didn't watch George Carlin or Andrew Dice Clay. But anyway, so this audience member, for whatever reason Dave Chappelle upset him, he felt it was okay. It was the thing to do to hop out of the audience, up on a stage, and charge him. And how did you get into the Hollywood Bowl with a replica gun? That draws all kinds of other, that's other discussions that somebody needs to have. Like, you know what I mean? I thought, and maybe that's the problem, folks. Maybe I shouldn't think so hard. But I thought we were on top of this issue with, mass shootings and stuff at major events. Now, that didn't happen, but what I'm saying is a replica gun is made of metal as much as a real gun is. How did he get in there with a replica gun that had a knife built into it? Anyway. But he felt he was okay. And it's not okay. And so the Will Smith issue continues to rear its ugly head, because I still stand on my ground that he was wrong in so many ways. And here's another one. I mean, I can't be the only person out of 240 million people in this country, or all the billion people in the world, that might have put eyes on that and didn't have the first thought of, Will Smith was able to do it. Why can't I? But anyway, but he pled not guilty. He's being charged with 4 counts of misdemeanors, and we'll see how that turns out. But people, you can't just do that. You can't just jump up on stage and attack people. Can't do that. Anyway, so let's go to New England. Let's go to New England for our Wombat of the Week. But first, let me tell you how to do Wombat of the Week, or what we do at Wombat of the Week, and how you can be involved. So the Wombat of the Week is our celebration, if you will, of stupid people doing stupid things, and it winds up in the news. And you can partake by sending us your Wombat of the Week. Send us a verifiable news story of stupid people doing stupid things, and send it to us as a DM in Facebook at JM Talk, or you can email us at joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. And we'll put it into the large laundry list of the collection we have of, and that's a shame. We have a collection of stupid people doing stupid things and getting it being newsworthy enough that it slips into the news somewhere. That's pretty bad. But anyway, we go to Kingston, Massachusetts, up there in New England. A family was awarded nearly $5 million after golf balls caused thousands of dollars in damages to their home. Okay, so we're talking about the Tenzer family, who lived near Fairway 15 on the golf course located on the Indian Pond Country Club. And they've lived there since 2017, which is approximately 5 years. Their attorney says it didn't take long for the golf balls to wreak havoc on the house. There's 26 windows that need to be replaced. The entire siding of the home has to be replaced. There's portions of the deck that were damaged and need to be fixed. And in the 4 years living there, the lawyer for the family says nearly 700 golf balls have landed on their property. And he says, quote, "This was so extremely upsetting to them, and they were so completely powerless to really fix the problem." Hey, before I go on, maybe you don't buy a house on the fairway, near the fairway. So a Plymouth Superior Court judge awards the family $100,000 in property damage and $3.5 million in emotional distress. So fees and interest brings this to almost $5 million. So, the attorney representing the golf course said in part, some of the risk of living near a golf course is the potential for damage by golf balls. Oh my God, that's what I just said. And the lawyer for the golf course continues to say that the golf course has insurance to cover this kind of stuff. The Tenzer's attorney says they declined the action of having the house fixed by the golf course because they were looking for ways to prevent such a large number of golf balls from entering their property. It's impossible. You live near Fairway 15. So, the owner of the golf course, he plans to appeal, which he should, especially if he has insurance to cover their issue. But $3.5 million for emotional distress because you live near Fairway 15 of a golf course and your property keeps getting hit by golf balls. And we're now hearing about this in the news 4 years later when you sue for $5 million. And when it was suggested that, why don't they sell the house and moved, the attorney says it would be impossible to sell this house in this type of situation. The problem just has to be fixed. 5 years ago, the Tenzers bought that house in that situation. Why is it so hard to sell that house in that situation? I'm sorry. This goes down in the books, which we have a book here at the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharen entitled Sue Happy People. My goodness, my aunt and my uncle had a house built right near a golf course, right on near one of the fairways, because that's what they wanted. And I don't know if golf balls hit the house or not because they don't bother telling anybody, because that's a risk that you take. That's a risk that you take. If you move in next door to an auto paint shop that is an open air facility, the chances of you getting paint all over your cars and your house is pretty good, depending on which way the wind blows. It's a risk that you have to take. If you move in next door to a bomb testing facility, there's a risk you're going to hear some noise. Come on. We can't just sue for every and anything that we want to. We've become this sue happy nation. Anyway, so that's the Wombat of the Week. The Tenzer family, I'm sorry, you're a bunch of wombats. Sell the flipping house and move somewhere not near a golf course. Don't tell me you can't sell the house because it's impossible to sell. Someone will buy it. My uncle will buy it because he'll want to be near the golf course. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here, and I won't be back live it will be me and Memorex, because coming up after the break, author, lawyer, political columnist, I didn't bring a drink with me, and a very, very funny guy, Gene Berardelli, coming up after this. Stay in your seats, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back, and Gene will be with me.
Hi, this is Tara. You're listening to my puppy, so don't go anywhere. He'll be right back.
I want to get back to kissing the cheeks of my grandbabies, making Sunday dinner with a house full of family and lots of laughs.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the very first step that let us get back to what we miss most. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I wait? Now, get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Are you ready for some more Joel Michalec Show?
I'd better not. I have what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem.
I have the irrefutable proof that the earth is not flat. Here it is. If the earth was flat, don't you think cats would be on the edge of it, knocking off? A new episode every Sunday at joelmichalec.com. Welcome back to the Joel Michalec Show, featuring the lovely Sharen. I'm Joel Michalec, and the lovely Sharen has parted the recording studio, so it's you and me. But this week, I have the option of not spending this time alone with you, because I have the esteemed pleasure of welcoming somebody who I've been trying to get on the show for a while. And if you pay any attention to the website, you don't live on the rock, then you've seen us feature his content, which is Buffoon of the Week. We've been featuring that for quite some time, and he's now making a book about it, or about the subject matter, which is great. So I am just thrilled to have here with me, spending some time, Gene Berardelli. Oh, there's the security system, which is always getting on the show.
I thought that was for me. I thought that was great, like a walking through the curtain type of deal. That was pretty cool.
It was perfectly timed, was it not? Please tell me I didn't wreck your name, because
no, you nailed it. The way I always tell the people, Yogi Berra going into a deli, Berardelli. You nailed it perfectly.
Because I have one of those names that for some reason nobody can pronounce. Real quick story. So I pronounced it Michalec. When I was a kid in Catholic school, we pronounced it Michalec. And nobody could get that. Mecca. We had a kid 1 grade below me whose name was Michael, last name was Leck. And they still couldn't pronounce my name.
Oh my God.
When there was a Michael Leck a grade below me, but this Michalec is. So now, as a joke, people say, how do you pronounce that? I say Smith. Just say Smith.
That's great. I thought you were going to do the whole Pee-wee's Playhouse Zombie, Mechaleka High, Mecca Hiney Ho type of deal.
That could be an option too. But Gene, it really is great to have you here. Mostly, we are talking about your upcoming book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars and Scoundrels, a field guide to political buffoonery, which has been born, I suppose, out of the Buffoon of the Week website and the videos. And the videos are just, it's amazing, especially with what you do by day, that you can put this content together on a regular basis and keep up with the political buffoonery is crazy to me.
Well, let me tell you, cocaine is a hell of a drug, and there are 24 useful hours in every day. So that's kind of how. No, in all seriousness, what I do now, I used to be able to take my whole weekend, take 12 to 15 hours out of my weekend, and pump out a weekly video based upon a weekly review of the news, explaining who I think the biggest buffoons were, and kind of leave it to the audience to decide. But lately, what we've been doing is I've gotten back together with a podcasting partner of mine, whose name I can't mention because he'll get in trouble with his job with the People's Republic of New York City. And we basically just have talk therapy, as I kind of told you a little bit about off air, where we just go on when we feel like it and talk about, the news, and we'll have a drink along with some, adult beverages, watching a political speech or something like that. So it really is a blessing in my life to have this stuff. But you mentioned how, the book that's coming out is a product of the website. Well, everything is sort of a product of my friends and all the discussions we've had over the years about politics.
Okay. So, and what I find, and I think I said this to you before in when we spoke over email or Facebook when we first met in social media world. I think one of the things that tied us together, you and I, is my previous program that was actually on live radio, where now I'm a podcast. We did a lot of news and politics, and for real, we'd have real discussions, and it used to be round table, and we thought we were solving the world's problems politically, and nobody was listening to us. But I stopped that show, and I had to take a hiatus. I had had it up to here. And I had come to the realization that you can't have a rational political discussion in this country with anyone anymore. And so when I came back with this new product and brought my wife with me, who is also a successful podcaster, we just sort of said, well, you know what, this time we're going to pull stories out of the news and make fun of them. Find the funny in it, because, it's all laughable. Or it could be if you spin it the right way. But then we do a Wombat of the Week, which is, a friend of mine from Chicago radio. He had an Ask Clown of the Week segment, and he's not on the air anymore doing his podcast or his live show. And he kind of said I could have it, but I didn't want to use his. So we did Wombat of the Week. And so that's kind of where, you and I just sort of collided out there in social media, based on this one particular thing of just making fun of these idiots.
It's a case of great minds thinking alike, Joel. That's really what it is.
Exactly.
And it's also a case of political burnout. There's only so many hours of the day that you can talk about politics with someone where either you crack up laughing, or you get so frustrated and angry that you throw a device against the wall and it cracks. And I got tired of buying new Samsung phones. So I have now decided to just revel in the hilarity of it all, and to point out to the world just the kinds of, as the title of the book says, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels that we encounter in the news on almost an hourly basis.
Yeah. All right. So you've been doing. All right. So you've been around this for a long time. Especially in different aspects of your career. Can you pinpoint when you think the buffoonery really got crazy? Because for me, I'm going almost back to the 80s, and people go, "How do you remember politics when you were in your, like in 1980? I was 10." And I'm like, because I used to listen. I used to pay attention. To what Reagan was saying. And I feel like I have to almost go back to my teens or pre-teens to find the before that. Maybe. And even I might be wrong.
I think for me, the rose-colored glasses came off. I can almost pinpoint the moment. It was right around January of 2010. I had just finished a campaign where I actually thought, for some reason, as a Republican, I could win a seat on the New York City Council. So I ran for New York City Council in Brooklyn, the most democratically dense county in the country. And I did pretty well, considering, I got blown out, but I was pretty, I was down, back then I had the rose-colored glasses on. I'm going to change the world, this whole thing. And then when I went through the campaign, I started meeting a lot of the people in institutional politics. And I started looking around and saying, this is the best we've got? Really? And it just got me to thinking, is this the path I really want to pursue? Well, no, not really. Now, being from Brooklyn, I am a sarcastic SOB. And, I met through my travels in politics other like-minded sarcastic SOBs. And we just started hanging out in the political clubhouse. We started a podcast, and we just started throwing spitballs from the back row at all the teachers, And that's sort of where this whole idea of, taking down these, I don't even know, I don't want to overuse the word buffoon, but yeah, take down these buffoons who we all overestimate every day, thinking that they're more impressive than what they actually are, and just really deconstruct what it is about them that makes them tick. And the book is 10 years worth of those discussions, sort of the work product of putting all that together.
Wow, that's amazing. How do these these idiots, because you're right. I don't want to overuse the word buffoon either, and then make it seem or sound irrelevant, especially when we're our focus is the book. But how do they not? What is making these people tick this way? I mean, how do they not know that they're idiots? Like, because sometimes I look at the news highlights and I go, how do you let that come out of your mouth?
Yeah, well,
how do you? I mean, obviously you saw the video of our commander in chief mistaking the Pope for a black baseball player. I mean, how does this happen? How does this happen?
So, well, I mean, there's many answers, but how it starts really is we forget the fundamental truism of life, and that is that you, me, everyone we've ever encountered, we are all buffoons. We have to start with that fundamental recognition, because what politicians do is they start thinking they're better than the average person. When I say we're all buffoons, we've all had those moments where we want to kick ourselves for doing something or forgetting to do something. Like, for instance, me being late for this interview. That's a buffoon moment. That to me is, man, I wish I could, as I'm driving, I'm saying I'm going to be late. Man, I kicked myself in saying that. But, who locked their keys in the car? Who forgot their wedding anniversary? We're all a bunch of buffoons in one aspect of our life or another. But in politics, everything's magnified a million times over. So all these people who already think that they're better than you and they think that they can lead you to the promised land, so to speak, they have an overconfidence of their own ability, and they're completely underwhelming. They overestimate their ability, and they underwhelm in their delivery in one way or another. But as they get little victories going forward, those that actually win races and actually make it into office, that overinflated feeling of superiority just keeps growing and growing and growing. And that's how they graduate up to different levels of buffoonery. And when you're like Joe Biden and you've been basically in government for 50 years, just imagine how overinflated that sense of superiority is, to the point where he can say, I went to Ukraine and I told them, you're not getting that $1 billion unless you fire that prosecutor. Well, son of a gun, they did it. And he says that openly, like it's okay and acceptable.
Yeah.
That's the level of lack of humility, lack of connection to the people that actually put you in that place of leadership. That's how far gone he is.
Amazing. So, and I really like the way you put that whole spin on it. You're right. I never looked at it that way, about how we all start out as buffoons, but I do want to get back to the book, because for the preservation of time, this is doing exactly what I thought it would do. It's moving too fast. So I do want to get back to the book. I know the illustrations are done by cartoonists. Oh, let me just kick my mic around. Johnny Panisi,
yes.
And which, I mean, we've seen his work on your videos, I think, correct?
Oh, well, some of it, but Johnny Panisi Johnny has been a dear friend of mine for many years. He is a cartoonist that has mainly worked in association with Major League Baseball. He has a lot of connections to the New York Yankees organization. He has connections with the Baseball Writers Association of America, the people that elect everyone to the Hall of Fame. He does their program every year. He's a tremendous cartoonist whose work I think is not appreciated in his time so much. So I asked Johnny, can you give me some very quirky drawings of different examples in the book and caricature them for me? And he nailed every single one of them. Johnny Panisi is the best artist you've never heard of.
That you've never heard of. And I think this is one of his illustrations. Is what I'm looking at on your the one sheet that we have for the book, right?
Yeah, that's
so you're right. The characters.
That's a bunch of different ones, all that I just put together onto it. But yeah, those are some of the characters that you'll see featured in the book. For those of you who are not looking at it, we're looking at Chris Cuomo, Elizabeth Warren, Andrew Cuomo, Maxine Waters, and Cory Booker.
Yeah, Cory Booker.
Cory Booker dressed as Spartacus, I might add.
Yes. So one of the things that you point out is that that the book's going to have some case studies from American history for comparison to like today's news and events. And what other things in the book can we be looking forward to other than that?
Okay, so the book establishes what I like to call, in a whole tongue-in-cheek way, the emergence of the pseudoscience of buffoonology. So what that means is we try to create a scientific method of how to identify different character traits within a variety of buffoons, starting from the benign, people up into like the irredeemable type of political figures that you encounter. And the way we express those character traits is by looking at examples, case studies. As you mentioned, a story from history to illustrate the point, a story from current events, and then secondarily, we try to tie it all up in comparison to what we've identified, my friends and I, as the guiding star of political buffoonery. The only politician personality that has existed that can fit into each and every category identified in the book. And that person is, drumroll please, the Reverend Al Sharpton. He is the alpha and omega of buffoonery. He has a 40-year history of just different buffoonish acts that fits into each category, and you can see that when you get the book.
That is the alpha. You're right. That is the alpha and the omega.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can think of any sort of political buffoonery, and we gave it a lot of thought, my friends and I, and which culminates in this book. And you can find a situation publicly covered where the Reverend Al stepped right into that. From the sublime to the ridiculous to the ominous.
Yeah. He's always stepping in it. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, no, the comments are reserved for the book, absolutely, but I absolutely 100% agree.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, that's what it gives that sense of waiting or can't wait. So now we're scheduled for somewhere around September 2022. Is that correct?
That's right. We did a little bit of a pre-launch, which was fantastic during the month of April. The response to it so far, just from friends and family, has been absolutely tremendous. And my editors are all Democrats, and they all say, each and every one of them, I can't not put this book down. I've won them all over. I don't know how. You want to know how the range of people get in this book? Let me just put it this way. For those of you who may know recent politics, Linda Sarsour, she's, the Women's March, very much a progressive firebrand, very strong activist. Someone I actually know from just living in Brooklyn. We run into each other in these circles. She's actually picking up a copy of the book. I was shocked that, she would support, because this is really going to be a lot of takedown of a lot of people on the left. I don't make any bones about that. So to see people uniting under a banner of, we don't want political idiots running the show anymore, that's a pretty powerful thing to me.
Right. It is. And we're seeing that, just as a quick side note, we're seeing that even with, what's his name? Every time I bring this up,
take your pick. There's so many. Take your pick.
I know. And I watched him, and I'm watching the clock too. I watched him for a long time, and I had to stop because Bill Maher, he's even attacking the left, and he says, and it's because they make it easy for him to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's something to be said these days, at least, where a lot of the buffoonery is coming from the left. I think right now what we have in this tribalistic political landscape we have right now is we have a disconnect of two different realities. I think a lot of people are grounded in facts and other people are grounded in feelings. The people who are grounded in feelings tend to make a fool of themselves, because when you let emotion rule you, that's when you get into trouble. So I think a lot of that is at play here as well.
Yeah. So for anyone interested, first of all, your main website is buffoonoftheweek.com, and you should visit that. Everyone should visit that and enjoy the content that's on there. But you can also we can find you on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
Oh, well, Facebook is Buffoon OT Week, right?
Well, no,
that's Facebook, or that's Twitter.
I got all the plugs. Don't you worry. It's Buffoon of the Week.
You do all the plugging.
It's Buffoon of the Week on Facebook, at Buffoon OT Week on the Twitters. You can also find me at GBERARDELLI on Twitter, on Parler, on Getter, on Minds. You can find Buffoon of the Week as well. I'm all over social media. You can find it. Just do a search for Buffoon of the Week in any search engine. You'll probably run into me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Just put Buffoon of the Week anywhere.
Absolutely.
Which is good that it's gotten that far and that wide. It's become a name for itself.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad of that as well. And by the way, Joel, I haven't talked to you about this yet, but when the book does come out in September 2022, right in time for the push for the midterms, why don't I send you over a copy of the book to give away to a listener? Do it any way you want to, and we'll get you an extra book out, and you can give it away to whoever you want.
That works for me. Obviously, you will be back for talking about the book when it comes out.
I mean, and have you heard me? I can't stop talking.
Which is one of the reasons I was thinking like the whole time. And even your disposition, I'm like, I need to have this guy on more. I need to have this guy on more, and not just about this. I mean, we could talk about buffoons all the time, but I think there's some other things that. Like I heard some keywords coming out of you, and I'm like, you know what? We could talk about that. You could make several visits here, Gene, very easily, because the wife leaves me alone in part 3. I'm so lonely sometimes.
I'll be your huckleberry, no problem. Listen, I don't want the novelty to wear off on everyone, but listen, whenever my schedule permits, I'd be happy to join you. Like I said, a lot of this is sort of like talk therapy for me. And get all this angst and frustration out. And listen, I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm so glad that we met in that Facebook radio and podcast group where we started talking. And
absolutely,
this has been way overdue. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
No, the pleasure is all mine. And as I said, I'm looking forward to having you back. I'm looking forward to getting the book, reading the book, talking to you about the book on the show, and really seeing where it goes. I think you're right. I think this is going to be explosive.
I hope so. Listen, if it is, it is. If it isn't, it's just another dusty old thing sitting on the shelf, waiting for someone who really appreciates me to show up.
Like my old podcast was. All right, everybody. Don't go anywhere yet, Gene, but that was Gene Berardelli. And one more time, the book, when it comes out, which is fast approaching, is called excuse me, my throat. Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to political buffoonery. So for the rest of you and us, I want to thank everybody for listening this week to the Joel Michalec Show featuring the lovely Sharen. I invite you to check us out on the World Wide Web at www.jmtalk.net. And we're all over social media too, TikTok and Facebook at JM Talk, Instagram and Twitter at JM Talk Radio. So please behave yourselves, and we'll catch you next time right here on the program. Goodbye, everybody.